Hello friends, welcome to LeggLife. This is actually a video that we're really excited to make.
Yeah.
We're excited to make it because many of you will remember that 2 years ago, Sherri Beth went through a super scary, super hard health journey.
Yeah.
That you guys, our community, supported her and supported us through the entire thing. And it's honestly kind of hard to believe that it has been 2 years.
Yes.
So in this video, we're gonna give you a 2-year health update.
It is really hard to believe that it's been 2 years. I don't really know how that happened. But I have received quite a few emails and comments on the video that we posted kind of about the health journey and the diagnosis, kind of asking what's next. Is there hope out of this, I think. It was kind of the general theme of a lot of these comments. And we realized we never actually gave like a good update on where I'm at now. We kind of gave, an update on the diagnosis and where we were moving forward, but not kind of where I'm at now.
Yeah, so we're not going to go into the whole diagnosis thing because we did that in a video. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to link the video down below where it's like an hour long, but it goes into the whole diagnosis, the whole, like shows pictures. You talk a lot about what that journey was like. And so if you want the full picture of what that was like, go check out that video.
Yes.
And in that, the reason that you wanted to even make that video in the first place, which was super vulnerable, was to hopefully provide not answers, but like some level of hope or clarity for people who may be in a similar situation because you had none.
Right, and I think that, and honestly that's kind of what it's been, is a lot of people who are watching their family members go through this, or them, going through it themselves and just saying, I have all these same symptoms, my brother, my dad, my mother, my whoever has all of these same symptoms, and we haven't been able to find answers, and so maybe we can go to our doctor with this now and say, let's look into this, and try to get some answers for them. So that was really my goal for making the video, just because, when we were in the midst of it, we had no idea what to even look for. So I wanted to be able to help other people who are maybe going through it. And a lot of those comments are people that are going through it or watching their loved ones go through it. And they want to know, is there hope? Is there light at the end of the tunnel?
And I think that that's what the comments have largely been, that it's like,
yeah,
this is really bad. Please tell me it doesn't stay like this.
Right.
Right? And so in some ways in this video, like we're very fortunate, like you got your diagnosis, you have like a treatment plan. That treatment plan has worked.
Yeah.
And so for you, it was really bad, but it did get better. It did get better.
And I think even when we shot the video, I think that I was still in the midst of healing. I wasn't better. And I think that's kind of where we left it, was, just like I'm getting better, but I'm not there yet. This is still a very long process. And I think that it was, from the time that we filmed the video, it was probably another 2 to 3 months before I felt like, okay, I think I can say that I'm better. Like, I think it was probably a 6-month process.
Yeah, we filmed that video 2 months after diagnosis, and you still had like spots all over. And one of the things, because we watched the video the other day for the first time, one of the things that stood out to you and I was you could hear it in your voice. And I don't know if you could hear like that you were still just so tired and exhausted and like in pain from what the season you had just gone through or what it was, but like it was noticeable even in her voice, and that stood out to both of us.
Yeah.
And so like 2 months or now 2 years later, it looks different for you.
It does look different. And so I wanted to talk a little bit more about what that whole process was. And then I want to show actually the medications that have been the most helpful and kind of talk about those in a little more detail.
Yep. So let's just like jump into it. First of all, people who saw the photos, they knew how bad your skin got during that. You've had psoriasis and eczema your whole life.
Yep.
And so you've always battled skin issues.
Yep.
This just obviously got very severe. And so like skin update, like how is the skin now? Is it back to like how it was before the breakout? Like where are you at?
My skin is clearer than it ever has been in my life. And from probably that 5 or 6 month point after I started these injections, it has been clear and has, for the most part, stayed clear.
Yeah.
I have had some flares, which we will talk about in a little bit. But really, I mean, I haven't had these giant spots of psoriasis that have just randomly popped up and stayed for days or weeks or months or years like they used to.
Mm-hmm. So your skin is, I mean, I've known you for a long time.
A long time. Mm-hmm.
A long time. And I've never seen your skin like it is now. Spots that you've had, because you've had kind of spots most of your adult life in certain areas. Mm-hmm. And like those
Some
spots
that just never really would go away no matter what I did for them.
And even those spots are gone.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that's been really surprising to me, and I think we'll talk about this a little bit more with like the flares, is that it always felt like your skin was kind of like a bit of a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. That it's like sometimes there were valleys, sometimes there were peaks, sometimes it was really good, sometimes it was really bad.
Yeah.
And sometimes we could tell. It's like, oh, well, we traveled, or you were in the sun too much, or you know what I mean? Like,
Either it wasn't in the sun enough, or I was...
Exactly.
Right.
And so it was kind of this roller coaster. But it's been so crazy the last couple of years to see the roller coaster go away and to see your body just like really become normal.
Even out. And like I said, I have had a few flares, which again we'll talk about in a minute. We've got theories, but on why those are occurring, but and then how I dealt with them.
Yep. So let's start first with, in our opinion, the
miracle drug.
The miracle drug. I mean, I don't know a better word for that.
I don't either.
So when we first went into the doctor, and she told you it was exfoliative erythroderma, there were a couple of options as far as medication. Both of them, or all of them, were injection-based. The one that she prescribed you on was Taltz.
Taltz.
And you have it here because you have to take it tomorrow.
I do. Yes, I do. So I have to do this tomorrow. It is a self-auto-injector. And I did want to just show you guys what this is. So it comes in this box. It is either shipped to my house or to a pharmacy. And whichever I choose, I just have to order it. And I usually order it, I get a notification to order it, usually 2 to 3 weeks before I have to do it. So it gives it a week to get here and then a week before I actually have to do it. So it is refrigerated. This is the injection.
Yeah.
It looks really scary. But it's not that bad.
No, it's not.
It's uncomfortable. It doesn't feel awesome. It does hurt when I do it because it is a very large needle, but this is what I inject into my body every 28 days.
So when you first started, the day that you got your diagnosis, you took 2 of these.
She prescribed 2 of them for that day.
Yeah.
And then I think that it was, I want to say every other week. So 1 every other week, I think for 3 months. So I did 2 that first day, and then 2 weeks later I did 1, 2 weeks later I did 1. And I did that for 3 months. And then after 3 months, it went to once a month.
And once a month essentially is what you'll be on, for what we know, the rest of your life.
Right. Yeah.
I remember when you were first prescribed this, and she said that it would be like forever. That was really overwhelming to you.
It was, and I've just never been prescribed anything that doesn't have an expiration date. There's like,
it's normally like, take these 2 pills, you'll be better in the morning.
Right, take a Z-Pack for 10 days and you're fine.
Yep.
But this is every 28 days for the rest of my life.
How has it been 2 years in, now having to do it every month? Like, has it gotten easier? Is it less overwhelming?
It has certainly gotten easier. I mean, thank goodness that one of my very best friends is a nurse.
That's true.
And so for the first several, she came over and either did them for me or watched me while I did it, and kind of made sure I was doing, everything correctly. And so everybody needs a DESI in their life in general, but also for medical things. But so that was really helpful, but really just, after that, it's just something I have to do. And we were actually talking about it earlier tonight. It still hurts. I mean, it doesn't ever feel good going in. And then the injection site is usually a little tender throughout the day. But I just sort of know that going in, and I just carry ice packs with me.
Yeah, and even the kind of thing that if it's an injection day, we know that we just don't plan stuff early in the day.
Right.
It's like you need to give Sherri time to just not wear hard pants if possible.
Not wear hard pants if possible.
Right.
So, yep. And I do try to do them in the morning. I was doing them at night, and sleeping was a little more difficult because you have to do them in, your arms or your stomach or your legs, and, sleeping on my side, it was always a little bit uncomfortable. So if I do it in the morning, it kind of is less uncomfortable by the evening. So
let's talk, because this is going to go a little bit into what we're going to talk about next, which is flares.
Yeah.
So you said it's a 28-day cycle. You take it every 28 days. But you notice as you get near that 28-day mark, like day, 24-ish.
Usually day 23, 24.
That you're starting to see your body do some things.
Yep. So I do tend to have, usually a couple of days before I have to do my injection, I do tend to have little spots that'll pop up. And I think it's just sort of my body just wanting its next fixed.
Yeah.
I think it's always a little bit weird. I'm just like, ugh. And honestly, like I can tell by my body that, that I'll look at my calendar and like, oh, well, that makes sense because my injection is coming up.
Yeah.
So usually, 3, 4, or 5 days before my injection is actually due, I do start to see just a few spots pop up. And then I have also noticed when I get a cold or when I got COVID, I had real bad flares.
Yep.
Kind of, popping back up here on my neck or on my arm or on my stomach. And I think that I don't know if it's like an immune system kind of thing, like my body is fighting so hard over here to fight the cold or COVID or whatever that it just can't focus on maintaining this shield. So I've had some flares with that. And the first time that it happened really bad, I immediately got into my doctor and I was just like, please say this isn't coming back. What do I do? And she was just like, I think that we just need to monitor, keep doing, obviously, the injections. She said if you need to do an extra one, we can talk about that. We can, we can figure it out. And it really went away on its own in a week or so.
Can we talk about that time for a second? That was really scary. And a lot of this, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, about like unlearning. We're going to talk about like unlearning of old habits a little bit later.
Yeah.
But that was really scary because I remember you in that moment when you started to see it come back more than just like a couple random spots.
Right.
Almost you were taken right back. And again, it's a trauma response, right back to at its worst. And it was like, oh my God, this is back.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is like, what do we do? It's back. And
like I called my doctor in tears. And I was just like, what do I do? And she's like, come on in. Yep. We'll fit you in tomorrow. Come in tomorrow.
Yeah. And so like it was crazy because even after months of healing, right? And when we say healing, we mean really good pharmaceuticals.
Right.
Let's be clear. Even after months of that, seeing your body respond in a way took you right back to that, like that spot.
Yeah.
Oh, I will never forget that very first flare.
No.
Because it was like, again, all of the what ifs. What if this injection isn't working anymore? What if it goes back to how bad? What if, like, your mind goes to all the what ifs.
Right. So, yeah, and that flare was last April or so. Yep. And it was right after we had COVID. And it was very scary because it had been just over a year since I had actually started to kind of get better, and I had this, 6 months of, I think this is going to be life-changing. I think that I'm better. And all of a sudden it came back really bad. And I was just like, oh, no. But like I said, we monitored it, and, I kept in contact with my doctor, and we talked about a possible extra injection, but I ended up not needing it because it did kind of go away on its own. So
yeah. And that was interesting because your doctor's hope was in some ways like, let's see if we can get you to make it to the next injection, like your next natural injection. Because if you add a second injection in, it starts to throw things off.
Right.
Like now does your body become dependent on 2 a month.
Right.
And so, so there's like a lot of things with that. And so really she was really pushing to see like, I'm sorry. Let's see if we can just get you to the next injection.
Right. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, but that's not what you wanted to hear.
That's not what I wanted to hear. I was like, I need it fixed right now.
Yeah.
So that's what we did is we waited, and I think it was a week and a half or so until my next one. So we didn't have to wait that long, but I did it, and then and it really started to kind of go away. Her other possibility was that my body was just no longer responding to the Taltz, and so she was going to, if it didn't clear up after my next injection, she was going to put me on a different injection.
Yep. And so that's
and she said that happens too.
Yep. So that's something like we have in our like tool belt going forward, that we know that like that's a possibility that your body just stops responding to Taltz and we move to something else.
Yep. And she said that, and that happens sometimes. Like your body just stops responding, and so we'll move you to something different.
Yep.
So, but she was very calm, and she's just like, we're going to figure it out.
We figured it out the first time when it was much worse. We're going to figure this out.
Exactly.
But she also has given you something, like when you get flares.
Also a miracle drug. I'm not going to lie. So when I get these little random spots that pop up because I'm ready for my next injection, or with the flares, she prescribed, and I'm not even going to pretend to say this. I'm just going to have Adam hold it up.
Okay, let's hold it up. Let's see if you guys can see.
She prescribed this cream.
Nope. I don't think that's going to show.
Not gonna show.
It's, you want me to try?
Clotrimazole.
Clotrimazole
and Betamethasone.
And
Betamethasone is what I'm going to say. It's a cream. And we'll put it in the description below. How about that?
I have to type that out in the description below.
You do. But it is a cream, and it doesn't take a lot. And I put it on these little spots or on these flares, and man, I'm telling you, especially with the little spots that pop up, it's hours and it's gone. Gone.
Yeah.
I don't even understand how that's possible.
Well, and the thing that's interesting to me is, like, I have watched you pre-diagnosis. I watched you live off of hydrocortisone cream.
Or any possible thing that might help.
Anything. When you have little spots, little rashes, little flares, little anything. Like, I cannot tell you how many bottles of hydrocortisone cream or 3-packs that we've bought from Costco.
Oh.
Right?
Hundreds.
Without a doubt. Because, like, anything to try to help. And even that never really helps.
It was just sort of a maintaining. Like, can we just make it not get worse?
But this.
But this makes it go away.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I don't understand. So, this is also just excellent. Yep.
So those are your two drugs.
Yes.
And so let's talk about.
And they're both prescription based. This is from a specialty pharmacy. You can't just walk into a pharmacy and get this. This is special order. And then this is prescription only, but I think that it's probably fairly easily acquired.
Yeah. And then let's talk about. And first of all, there's like lots of other things. There's other drugs she has you on. There's other like supplements you take. There's other vitamins you take. There's other just like general health and wellness stuff. But as far as like skin specific stuff, lots of S's.
I know.
Lots of S's in there. I got it though. These are kind of your routine.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what has, interestingly enough, maybe been the hardest part of the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And that is, and I like the way you put unlearning of old habits and fears.
Yeah. Some of which I have not gotten over yet. So with psoriasis, getting into pools, getting into hot tubs, with the chemicals that are in them to keep them not disgusting, that always messed up my skin. And so I tend to not get into pools and hot tubs still, because I have 40 years of don't do that.
Because every time you get in a pool, like your skin would react to the chemicals, and you would you'd pay the price for days, weeks, months later, and so you just avoided them.
Yep.
And now the thing is like maybe your skin would be fine, but
there's a big part of it. She's like, I don't really want to find out.
Yep.
Oh. So there is some of that that's I'm just not over baths.
Yep.
Which is more of a trauma response. I can't take a bath.
Yeah, when Sherri was at the worst, or among the worst, one of the things that we heard was maybe oatmeal baths could help moisturize the skin, and those actually ended up being pretty bad.
It was kind of the catalyst that threw me into the really, really bad.
And so, like, for you, like, even now, 2 years later, thinking about taking a bath,
Even just like thinking about it, like my heart's just going.
Yeah.
It's my body's just like absolutely not.
Yep, no baths.
No baths.
Talk about, because another thing that you'd always, for most of your life, at least since I knew you, when we would go on vacation and maybe you get like a little bit of a sunburn, like you knew that the sunburn would then turn into something and then would turn into something.
Yep. I'm less worried about that.
Yeah.
And some of it was just sort of a trial and error with that.
Yep.
Sun, for the most part, has always been really good for my skin. It was, prescribed by my dermatologist growing up. Like it was, tanning was really, really good for my skin. Just not to the extent that you burn. Mm-hmm. But, obviously the occasional burn happens. And when we were in Fiji, I got burned. Not really bad, but I got some sunburn. And part of me was just like, oh, no.
I know.
And it just went away. The burn just sort of went away, turned into a tan. I was like, oh, which is what your skin's supposed to do.
But your skin has never done that.
But it's never done that.
Yeah.
It's if I've gotten a sunburn before, it's always just turned into a really terrible psoriasis rash. And it really didn't. So
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I think that's, but there are some things that I'm still kind of unlearning that I had, 40 years of ingrained into me. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, because you'll pay for it for months or years to come. Mm-hmm. And so there's still some of that unlearning.
Talk about one of the times I remember, and this is true with like any kind of trauma, is that you can never schedule when it pops up. It's like the most random things.
Right.
A lot of you guys will remember, we shared in the video that at the worst of it, it was basically head to toe lotion every 2 hours because of how quickly your body was turning over skin. Mm-hmm. And because you lived for those months in a recliner in our living room. Mm-hmm. And so you would sleep there, you will lay there.
That wasn't really sleeping.
And when we put on lotion, you would just basically kind of stand up right there. And we'd put lotion on you, and then you'd sit back down in the chair.
Right.
And I remember it was last year sometime, I think. Mm-hmm. Tell that, because that was like so like eye-opening.
So I had I feel like it was maybe shortly after the video, so I think it was almost 2 years ago.
Wow.
Because I don't feel like, I think I was still kind of in the like shower and lotion everything immediately kind of phase, which I'm out of. But I had taken a shower and I had been putting like lotion just sort of on my arms, like as they got a little bit dry, like watching TV that morning. And so I had taken a shower and then I went out to the living room to get my lotion, and I was just sort of like, oh, I can just put it on here. And I opened up that lotion and immediately my knees started shaking, my heart started beating really fast, and I felt like nauseous. Like I felt immediately like I had for so many months every time we had to stand there and put on lotion. And I was just like, oh, can't do this out here in the living room. Alrighty, so I took it into the bedroom and I was fine and I could put lotion on there, but like, man, that triggered that trauma response immediately. My body just immediately went back into, oh, this is how we feel when we do this here. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, oh boy, that was weird for me.
Yeah, I distinctly remember.
And I have yet to put lotion on in the living room.
Nope. Here's the thing.
I will do that in the bedroom.
Yeah,
thank you.
That's exactly, because you know that. It's like, nope, can't do that there.
Yep.
So 2 years later, how do you feel?
Oh my gosh. I feel better than I have. One of the other fun side effects, and I mean that actually, of Taltz, is that it helps my joint pain. And so with my EDS, I also have joint pain, and the Taltz kind of helps with that as well. So I'm just not in as much pain as I used to be. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it's so this keeps my skin clear, but it's also helping my joints.
So just overall, like, you feel better than you have, not just in the last 2 years, but
I think I feel better than I did 10 years ago.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And what's really cool is, like, I've loved seeing every time you go in, and again, first of all, like, Sherri's doctor, we just view as, like,
She's the best.
Like, it's
I
like,
love my doctor.
Saved your life. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I mean, that lady is deity in our minds. But like, even going in to see her still, you know, when you do, it's just so cool to see her see your progress in lots of areas.
Yeah.
And like, she's just like, I don't know, I feel like she's beaming.
I agree. So I went in actually just a few weeks ago for like, you know, my annual visit, and she like lifted up the back of my shirt to, you know, hear my lungs and stuff. And she was like, oh my gosh, your skin looks so good. And she like looked at my stomach and she was like caressing, and she was like, it feels so good. Like, she was just so happy with how much better it was because she saw it at its very worst. And she was just so excited, like, how much better it is. And she was just like, I can't believe how much better. She was just so happy.
That's one of the things that, to me, I notice the most. Like, when we hug, and I'll, like, put my hands under your shirt and I feel your skin. Like, sometimes, like, nope, can't let go. Because, like, I remember how rough and how painful and how that was. And it's just, like, to feel, not just like, oh, man, your skin's a little bit better. But to feel what genuinely feels like new. Healthy skin is crazy, because I think that, I don't know, I think that it was like so bad. The thought was like, even if she gets better, she'll never get really better.
Well, and some of it was like, you know, kind of reading up on Taltz, like when she first prescribed it, we kind of read that, you know, it'll make all of your psoriasis go away. And I was just like, that's cute, but like clearly they don't know what they're working with, because I've never had no psoriasis ever in my life. And so I was just like, you know, I'm kind of expecting it to go back to sort of like a easier to maintain kind of stage. You know, not a 90% of my body, but like still spots. There are no spots. Like, there's none. And I don't, it's crazy to me. It's unbelievable.
So friends, there you go. 2 years later.
2 years later. Almost to the day. So February 25th of 2021. Is when I got my diagnosis and did my first 2 injections.
It's so weird.
It's, it really is just a miracle, I think, to see how much better my skin is. And I do just want to say, if anybody is dealing with this, please bring this to your doctor. I think the other one that she was thinking to prescribe was Cosentix.
Something like
that. But it's injections, and I mean, truly changed my life.
Yep. And I think that that's one of the things that we learned through this, is that you really do, especially in situations like that, you have to advocate for yourself. And so to be able to bring ideas and say, like, could it be this? Because to us, we had never heard of exfoliative erythroderma until one of you told us about it.
Right.
And like, that had never come up with any doctor, had never come up with any dermatologist, never come up with any biopsy. And so I just remember in the middle of it, genuinely feeling helpless. Like, it is none of these things we're finding. Nobody has any answers. Nobody knows what this could be. And like, any little tiny, well, could it be this, was so helpful. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And, yeah, I mean, I remember kind of reading up on exfoliative erythroderma, and, you know, it's, I think we say in the video, like, it's life-threatening, and it's a very hard road, but I'm healed from it, and I have this thing in place that will keep it at bay for the rest of my life. And really everything else that we were looking at was like, maintain, you know, there wasn't any like, get rid of it. So, I don't know. I'm really, it was really scary to read that it was so life-threatening. But I made it through, and, I really hope that anybody that's watching this can have some hope that they can too.
And the last thing I'd say is that anybody who's watching this, we have had, I genuinely cannot tell you the number of emails from people who have said, I think I saw your video, I think this might be what my uncle has, I think this might be what my husband has, I think this might be what I have, I think, well, you know what I mean? Like,
can you tell me more about what these injections are? Can you tell me, like, what do I tell my doctor?
Yeah, so if you...
So that's kind of why we wanted to...
To make this?
Yeah.
But I was going to say, continue to reach out. Like if you have questions, if you wonder like, what did you use? What did you like? Anything at all? Because I just remember feeling like there was no lifeline in the middle of it.
Right.
And so like if you need to reach out to us, our email is just legglife@gmail.com. You can send us an email any time of day or night. We'll get back to you when we can about this. But yeah, just reach out with any questions because obviously we can't answer everything in a YouTube video.
Right.
But hopefully this was helpful to those who need help.
Yes, I hope so. And see if your doctor can prescribe this miracle cream because it's truly like, I don't even understand it, but it's hours and it's gone.
Clotrimazole.
This morning I had a little spot on my nose right here that I noticed last night and I put some on. Do you see it?
No.
Nope, because it's gone. Like just a tiny, tiny little bit. Like it's a cream, so it spreads. And I just put the tiniest bit right there on my nose and then it just went away.
It's very interesting.
So.
Friends, we love you guys. There's the 2-year health update. I'm hoping no more updates.
Right.
Right? Like I'm hoping that the injections keep working, body keeps healing, things keep getting better. And it's just like, now is just like the new normal of good life. And that chapter is like closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a chapter it was though.
Oof. That was a rough chapter.
And that's what the chapter should be titled. Oof.
Oof. Yeah, it was rough.
We love you guys. We'll see you on the next LeggLife video.